Hey, David Wygant here, special guest Eddie Palmer again, 10-minute daily reality check. We're going to talk about a tree today, but not the tree that you think about. It's actually a tree called a man tree. Have you ever seen a man tree? Well, if you look around wherever you live right now, if you're sitting and listening to us in an office cubicle or you're driving the car, I want you to take a look around, and on a sidewalk, you'll see a man tree taking step after step after step. Some men tree do not exactly walk that gracefully. Some of them are a little heavier than others. Some of them have less hair. But today we're going to talk about the roots of a man. And all you women listening right now, listen hard and listen fast, because this is going to be your education that's going to teach you why that man will not commit and why that man will never put that ring on that finger and give you exactly what you're looking for. So for you, those of you who are dating men that are shaky foundations that literally have been planted in a Home Depot potter but should have been transplanted years ago, their roots are not good. So Eddie, we were talking a lot today during the workout about how a man really cannot future commit to a woman if his, earth underneath him is dry and barren and shaky and the roots are not in there. And we got into a really deep discussion about women and relationships and how to understand men so much better, because there's so many men out there that are very driven, right?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you always encourage women, because now everybody talks about being there before they actually walk the process. So if you actually have somebody who's in the process or in the making of becoming great and they're trying to be something, you got to understand, if you meet a guy, let's say he's starting a business, and you like him and you see potential in him, he's working hard, he's driven, he's doing something, but understand he's starting a business. So as you guys grow or your friendship, relationship grows, you need to understand that he's trying to cement himself and be firm. So as your ambitions for engagements and weddings and kids and things start to grow, as your relationship may grow, your friendship, understand that until this man has feel like he's financially capable of helping and contributing, being the man, if you're really somebody who's really driven, it's going to be hard for him to aspire for those same dreams you have, at least in that moment. So the best way to support someone you care about in this type of construct, I would say, would be to definitely support him in his dream to help him get further along faster, so that if that's something you two want to look at, you can do on the back end once it's firm ground.
But yeah, it's interesting, because we all, when we meet somebody, if we're really honest and authentic with ourselves, we want to meet somebody and say, yeah, that could be my partner. That could be the person I want to marry. That could be, I like all their stuff that they're all about. But the thing is that I think what a lot of people are not doing is they're saying yes to all that stuff, but then they also don't realize that there's always something, an asterisk, or something that comes with it. And especially with a woman who meets a man that's very motivated and extremely driven, if his business is not where he thinks he wants to be, he's not going to be able to commit to you to the future, because the future is too unsafe in his mind right now, because he's spending so much time on the present trying to connect to his business and make that money. So you're 100% right there, that if a woman actually supported him and actually stayed patient with him, he's going to look and realize,
it's going to be there.
It's going to be long haul. I can't do it without you.
And I can give you a perfect example, and it does work both ways. Women also think about guys coming out of a divorce. You meet a guy, he's recently divorced. He needs time to let his plant roots grow and for him to cement himself on solid ground so he can be who he needs to be for you too. So be patient. But my example I wanted to give is, when I first moved to LA, I was starting my own business, very beginning when me and Dave met maybe years and years ago. And, I met a woman, she's a doctor and she's a psychologist of children, and wonderful lady. I mean, she was there when I didn't have any furniture yet in my apartment. She'd come and spend the night on the floor with me. Here's an accomplished PhD psychologist spending the night on the floor with me because I haven't brought a mattress.
Kind of romantic.
Very romantic. I mean, and you got to respect that. But the problem became is as we grew closer, she grew more ambitious towards family and children. And here's a guy, I'm recently new to LA and I've started my business out on my own, and you're talking about the economy, the taxes, everything under the sun. You got to dream about starting a business, and she's thinking about starting a family. And as much as I wanted or even liked the idea of that with her, there's no way I could actually give her that when I don't know if my business is even going to be alive next year, let alone thriving. So my mind was not there to push into that direction. So it ended up pushing us apart because our agendas, even though they were on the same chart, they were at different times. She was on a 6 month to a year scale. I was on a year to 2, 3 scale. And so it just made things hard for us at some points. And so it ended up straining things overall. A great woman, and honestly, something I'm sadly, something you'll sadly regret. But at that point in time, I couldn't be the man I needed to be for her.
You know, it's such a honest thing to say that when you can't be the man that you needed to be for her. Because that's what I think women don't get. When you have a great man, and you have a man that's standing before you and says, listen, I'm broken right now. I need some time. I need to fix my stuff. I just got out of a divorce. I have no furniture in my apartment. I truly want a relationship with you, because those are all things that you said to her anyway, right?
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people, because the future is so, and look, we all know it. Talking about the future is one of the greatest things that you can possibly talk about with somebody, because you finally know that you no longer have to date anymore, and it feels great. I mean, woo, no more dating, you know. It's fantastic. No more swiping, no more meeting people, no more evaluating them and everything else. But the future will always take care of itself if we allow it. And we have to be both future goaled at the same exact time. She couldn't calm her future goals down enough to give you the roots that you were actually needing at that time. And you needed those roots. It's like you were all over the place trying to ground yourself.
Yes, literally. And put myself in a place where I could be the man she'd be proud to carry on her arm, and vice versa, because you've been here and established yourself. You're, doctor in psychology, well respected and all that. Let me become the same way, so that together we're something, versus me trailing behind you, or me trying to live up to something that I needed to be. Because, transfer a couple years later, now the things that she was looking for and looking at are things that I would welcome wholeheartedly, and I was welcoming then, but I needed the time. And sometimes you tell a woman you need time, she thinks you're stalling her. But look at the context clues around you when a man says that. Is he running from you? Is he hiding things from you? But if he's spending time with you, and he's spending every night with you and comforting you and giving you those things you need to feel secure, he's just letting you know that, hey, I'm here. I just need to make sure I'm going to be here. Let my roots grow a little deeper so that I can give you more.
Yeah, it's all about those roots. Those roots have to be grounded.
They have to be deep in them, man. Those old oak trees, those ferns.
Well, yeah, it is, because we're not fucking lilacs, women in the waving in the spring air. We are oak trees. I mean, we truly are men that need that grounding, and also we're also men that when we really admit to ourselves, we're probably better off with a great woman too, because a great woman will have our back 24/7, and it makes a strong man and it makes a strong man even stronger. But if a man's not ready and a woman is, she's got to make that determination if she is willing, and this is the big thing with women, willing to wait it out and not go into story that it was like the last guy or it was like two guys before, and they need to really not listen to their friends and listen to their gut instinct, because a lot of women, and it's different, we don't have biological clocks, we really truly don't. And I respect a woman's biological clock immensely, because I get it, they're fucking crazy maniacs at 35, their womb has a vacancy, it really does, and I understand that, and I never really
and that's
understood
why you have those communications with women. Listen, I understand the timing and everything, but let things happen so that we're both in a good place. Because when kids start popping out and the stress level goes up, and you're worried about not even money, just the time management's tight and everything's a fluster, is because you jumped into things without having that calm, settled state. If you're both mature adults, allow a relationship to develop in that way. And sometimes that means the absence of sex at first, because if the sex is making things harder to pull apart emotionally, don't engage in something that might necessarily set you up in the long haul to make things harder so soon. Not saying it wouldn't happen, but maybe not so soon. If somebody's honest with you, hey, I'm trying to get myself together, maybe be more of a friend than a lover to them in the beginning, so that you can grow a little bit more, and then you add things so that down the road you're getting more reward, bang for your buck and reward. Just a thought.
No. I think people, I've talked about it on the podcast many times. I think people rush sex too fast.
Yeah, get to know your partner, not their pelvis. I always say that, and it sounds cliche, but if you do that, it works. And I've adopted that motto myself in my life, and now going forward, it's like, if we can't have a conversation that arouses me, there's no need for us to do anything else.
Well, you're looking for your best friend. I mean, if you think about it, when you meet all your same-sex friends, you look at them and you go home at the end of the day and you think to yourself, yeah, I'm going to be friends with that person. That person and I fucking related in those 5 minutes. We're going to be friends. You don't go and break up with another friend and go, hey, listen, my best friend, I'm breaking up with you because I met my new best friend. Your dick is not in it. And I really think that when you wait to have sex and you talk and talk, and this is so important, not text. Texting is great during the day to stay connected. I think a texting between a man and a woman during the day is the greatest thing in the entire world. But at night, you guys should be talking on the phone.
Yeah, you got to make time. You
got to make time
to communicate. Make time to communicate. You set that precedent early. It matriculates later on in that relationship, no matter how that relationship manifests. Because now every time something happens, you go, well, let me call and just talk to this and see what they think, and let's input and talk. Talk it out together. And it gives you that. Okay, at the end of the day, here's my caveat. Here's a little, dessert. I get that talk time with so and so. If you guys aren't, spending the evening talking together somewhere or at each other's apartments or house or whatever. But it gives you something. Don't text to the death that's all you know, because then in person there's no communication chain. So you stop telling each other as much because you're not used to talking, you're used to texting.
And texting is not talking. And when people tell me all the time, they go, God, we talked all night last night. Did you text? Yes, you didn't talk. You did not talk. Yeah,
you were watching CNN. You were watching
exactly. You were multitasking.
The Kardashians, whatever you want to watch. Mean Girls, and then you were texting and on Instagram commenting. It wasn't a fully engaged conversation when you learned about someone.
No,
and that's how you get there.
You got to put the time in. I mean,
that's when you know while he's growing his roots whether it's real or not.
Yep. And those first 30 days, and this is something I've said my entire life, because if I go back on every relationship that has misfunctioned, right? Which is a lot of them at this point in my life, right? As I round my, to my birthday, right? And if I look at it, every warning sign was there in the first 30 days, because and that's the reason why months are 30 days or 31 days or 28, 28 days for February. It's because people repeat the same shit every single day, every single week, every single month. So if you just invest a month talking to somebody and not fucking, not humping, not groin to groin action, not sucking.
It's 2 for 1, because if you find out you didn't like them as a lover, you got a friend. More than likely, hey, I got a friend. We shouldn't be dating, we shouldn't be lovers, but we could be friends, and there you go. And then you know what? That person might be better suited for your best friend, and guess what? You didn't sleep with them, so it's not weird. Everybody wins. It's amazing what happens when you keep your pelvis out of the partnership first. Get to know your partner, not the pelvis. It sounds cliche. It's like, oh, well, whatever. But, you're talking to two guys here who can, and just because they can, they don't. So you got to understand it's not so much of someone saying, oh, yeah, of course. But it's harder. Yes, easier said than done. But it can be done, and it's to your benefit.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're going to leave it on this note, because I remember there was somebody that I dated, and, I was like, cool, great. And then the minute the pelvis hit, I got lost in it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, your head's everywhere, and it's imaginative, and you're trying to sneak away for day and midday stuff, and then when the infatuation of the sex wears off, you're like, well, what do we have? You don't have any communication, and then you're off to somebody else, and we jade ourselves that way.
Well, you're kind of bored with somebody. Anyway, we're going to be back tomorrow with Eddie, and this is, Wednesday, June the 14th, 2017. Spread the love on the podcast. Pass this along so women understand what men really are all about. Also, do me a favor. I've got a goal before my birthday, which is July 1st. I want you to please leave a comment in iTunes about how much you love the podcast. That way then we can get ranked and rated. For some reason or another, Apple likes that. So I ask you to do that so I can continue screaming and yelling and venting every single day to you. 10-minute daily reality check. Eddie Palmer,
12 at gmail.com. Health and fitness consultant. You name the issue, we'll fix it.
And he will.
Worldwide.
All right, see you tomorrow.